I was just visiting a friend, but her son wasn't a kid anymore. I hadn't seen him in years. The last time, he was just a teenager, skinny, quiet, always glued to his video games or arguing with his mom. To me, he was just her kid, someone I'd pass by on my way to the kitchen when I came over for coffee. But that evening, something felt different. I knocked on her door like I always did, expecting the same old greeting. Instead, it was him who opened the door, taller now, broader, his shoulders filled out, his eyes calmer, older. He didn't look like a boy anymore, and when he looked at me, it wasn't the way a son looks at his mother's friend. There was something in his eyes I couldn't explain. He smiled first. I smiled back before I even realized it, but something tightened in my chest. I didn't know what it was at the time. Maybe curiosity, maybe guilt. His mother, my friend, welcomed me inside like always. She chatted away, laughing and talking about nothing in particular. But I wasn't really listening. I kept noticing how he leaned against the counter, how quiet he was, how deep his voice had gotten. He didn't say much, but when I glanced his way, he was looking, not staring, just watching. Dinner was light. We told the same old stories. But while everyone else laughed, I was aware of every move he made, how he passed the dishes, how his hand brushed mine when he picked up a plate. Just for a second, but enough to make my breath hitch. I left the table once, just to calm myself. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my wrists. I didn't recognize the look in my own eyes. I felt like someone else, someone reckless. When I came back, he was already helping clean up. He didn't say much, just helped quietly. But he stayed close, too close. I said goodbye soon after. My friend hugged me, still talking about her weekend plans. I smiled, nodded, said I'd call her. But when I reached the door, he was already there. He opened it for me, smooth, like he had done it before. Then he leaned in slightly. "Drive safe," he said, his voice low, close to my ear. I paused. There was something in the way he said it. I looked at him, waiting for a smile or some sign that he was joking, but there was none. Then he said something that stayed with me. "Shame you live so close. Makes things harder." He stepped back after that. The door stayed open, and for the first time that night, he looked away. I walked to my car, heart racing. I told myself it meant nothing, that I imagined it, but deep down I knew I didn't. Title, I only meant to drop off a dish. But he was there. I hadn't seen him in years. Last time he was just a shy teenager, tall, skinny, always glued to video games or arguing with his mom. Back then, he was just her son, nothing more. But when I walked into my friend's house that day and saw him again, something changed. He had grown, taller, broader. There was something more in the way he stood. He looked at me differently, too. Not like I was his mom's friend anymore, but like I was someone he saw, really saw. My friend and I sat and talked, catching up like always, but I couldn't stop watching him from the corner of my eye. He leaned on the counter, his voice deeper now. He didn't say much to me directly, but every time I glanced up, he was already looking at me. Not staring. Just watching. Like he was figuring me out. Dinner went on like normal, but I couldn't focus. The air felt heavier. I kept fixing my blouse, feeling warm for no reason. I even went to the bathroom just to cool down. I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't know what I was trying to hide anymore. After dessert, he helped clear the plates. When he took mine, his fingers touched mine, just a little. It sent a jolt through me. I didn't know what to say next. I left soon after. As I reached the door, he came up behind me and opened it. His voice was close to my ear when he said, "Drive safe." Then he added, quiet and serious, "Shame you live so close. Makes things more complicated." That night, I stood in the bathroom and looked at myself. Not judging, just seeing. I felt something inside me that had been missing. Not desire, just the feeling of being noticed. It had been so long. I didn't expect to see him again so soon. But a few days later, I stopped by to return a baking dish. My friend wasn't home. I planned to leave it and go. Then I heard his voice. He was in the kitchen, barefoot, holding a mug, his shirt hanging loose. He looked like he had just gotten out of bed. He offered me coffee. I should have said no, but I didn't. We stood there quietly, drinking. Our fingers touched again when he handed me the cup. This time it wasn't an accident. He looked at me, not just my face. His eyes moved slowly down. I felt frozen. I said, "I should go." But I didn't move. He stepped closer, then closer again. I backed into the counter. He didn't touch me, but the space between us was gone. Title: The Kiss That Changed Everything. "I've thought about you," he said. "I shouldn't have felt anything, but I did, more than I wanted to." He was young, maybe too young, confident in a way that wasn't loud or arrogant, just sure of himself, honest. And that honesty shook me more than I could explain. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Then, slowly, he reached up. The back of his fingers brushed my jaw, light as a feather, but it burned. I felt it deep. And then, it happened. He leaned in, not rushed, not unsure. I could have stopped it, stepped back, laughed, pretended I didn't see it coming. But I didn't. I tilted my head without thinking, closed my eyes before his lips touched mine. The kiss wasn't gentle. It hit fast and hot, like a flame catching dry paper. No hesitation, just need, just fire. My hands didn't know where to land. One pressed against his chest, the other grabbed the counter for balance. I tasted coffee, and something else. Something bold, something that made me feel alive in a way I hadn't in years. Seconds passed, maybe more. I pulled away first. My breath caught in my chest. My heart pounded. "I can't," I whispered. But I didn't leave, didn't move. He looked at me, eyes darker than before. "You already did." Then, noise. A door shutting outside. Someone coming. It shattered everything. I stepped back fast, almost knocked the dish over, set it down too hard on the counter. "I have to go," I said. My voice shook. I knew he heard it. He didn't say anything to stop me, just nodded. "See you around." I left without turning back. Got in my car. My hands clutched the wheel so hard they hurt. My pulse thudded through my body, my ears, my chest, my thighs. Back home, I ripped the dress off and tossed it in the hamper like it had betrayed me. Threw on soft, plain clothes, the kind that hide you. I moved through the house like I wasn't even real. My husband came home late. He kissed my cheek. I flinched. If he noticed, he didn't say a word. That night, when he touched me in bed, I didn't stop him. His hands moved in ways I knew, his rhythm, predictable. I stared at the ceiling, trying to forget the heat of another kiss, another touch. When it ended, I said I was tired. He rolled over, satisfied. I turned away, hugging a pillow to my stomach like it could stop the ache inside me. I didn't cry. I didn't feel guilty, just full. Like something inside me had cracked open, and I wasn't ready to close it again. It wasn't just a kiss. It was something more. A shift. And deep down, I knew I would let it happen again. I told myself I could ignore it, hide the memory, bury it like I'd buried so many other things, disappointment, silence, need. I was good at pretending, but this was different. That kiss had left a mark. I could still feel his mouth on mine, the ghost of his fingers near my cheek. I could still taste him in the mornings, still feel the heat crawl across my skin when I looked in the mirror. I tried to push it away, but it kept coming back. Title, the note. I kept telling myself it was just a one-time thing, a moment of weakness. Something foolish I'd let happen, but nothing more. Still, every time I drove past his street, I slowed down, looking for his car, wondering if he thought about that kiss the way I did, sharp, sudden, dangerous. For a while I stayed away from my friend's house. I made excuses, headaches, errands, last-minute tasks. She didn't ask questions. She was too caught up in her own life, talking nonstop about her new kitchen cabinets and an upcoming vacation. But I knew I couldn't avoid it forever. Sooner or later, I'd see him again. I'd have to decide, act like nothing happened, or stop pretending altogether. Then it happened somewhere unexpected. At the community center, I was just finishing up my volunteer shift, helping with a reading class, when I saw him in the hallway. He was talking to someone by the front door, wearing jeans, a dark shirt under a jacket, hair a little messy. He looked normal, and still, my body reacted before my mind could catch up. I felt heat crawl up my neck. He saw me. Our eyes locked. He didn't smile. I looked away fast, pretending I was busy stacking papers, but I heard his footsteps behind me. "Didn't know you volunteered," he said, like it was nothing. "I always have," I replied, glancing at him. He leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed, watching. "Didn't expect to see you here?" "Same," I said. There was a pause. Then he said, "I left something for you." I frowned. "What?" He pulled a small folded paper from his jacket pocket and set it gently on the table beside me. "Just a question, that's all." I didn't reach for it. I stared at his fingers instead, how they lingered on the edge of the table just a second too long. "You could have texted," I said, trying to stay neutral. "You blocked me," he answered without a trace of anger, just saying it like it was. I didn't respond. He stepped back, eyes steady on mine. "Take care." Then he was gone. The faint scent of his cologne lingered, clean, sharp, like cold metal. I waited a full minute before picking up the note. His handwriting was a little rushed, but easy to read. "If I asked to see you again, just to talk, would you say yes?" No name, no date, no push. I folded it slowly and slid it into my purse, my heart pounding like I'd just done something wrong. The whole ride home, I told myself not to answer. Title: The Note. Final part. I told myself not to answer, and for a few days, I didn't. I cooked dinner, I folded laundry, I smiled at my husband when he asked how my day had been. I pretended. But the note stayed with me. I kept it tucked inside my purse, between an old receipt and a lip balm I never used. I told myself I'd throw it out, rip it in half, burn it if I had to. I didn't. Instead, I read it again, more than once. The words were simple, but they asked for something deeper than just time. They asked for honesty. And I hadn't been honest with anyone, not even myself, for a long time. It wasn't just about him, not really. It was about what had cracked open inside me that day in the kitchen. A part of me I'd forgotten existed, a part that wanted more than routines and polite silence. I didn't text him. I didn't call. Instead, I wrote back. I slipped a note into an envelope and left it at the front desk of the community center with his name written in small, shaky letters. I didn't say much, yes, but I need it to be real. No lies, no pretending, just the truth, even if it hurts. That evening, I sat on the couch next to my husband. He was watching the news. I watched the side of his face. The man I'd built a life with, the man I cared for, but didn't recognize anymore. I didn't feel anger, or even guilt. Just a quiet kind of sadness, the kind that settles in your chest and stays there, long after the moment passes. Later that week, I met the man again, in daylight, in public, just for coffee. We talked, not about the kiss, not at first. We talked about our jobs, our pasts, the mistakes we'd made, and slowly we unraveled the knot we'd tied with one impulsive moment. Whether it would lead somewhere or not, I didn't know. I didn't need to know. All I knew was that I had stepped out of the shadow of pretending. And that was enough. For now. Conclusion. Some stories don't end with a decision. They end with awareness. With one person choosing to stop hiding from what they feel, even if the road ahead is uncertain. Sometimes the most powerful choice is simply choosing yourself. Vote of thanks. Thank you to everyone who engaged with this story. Whether you saw your own reflection in its pages or simply followed it to see how it would end, your attention means everything, Every quiet reader, every thoughtful pause, you're appreciated. Disclaimer: this story is a work of fiction. All characters, names, events, and scenarios are purely imaginary and created for dramatic and emotional exploration. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, is purely coincidental. The story does not promote infidelity or deception. It seeks only to explore the complexities of human emotion, unmet needs, and personal growth.